The U.S. Department of Education just announced the release plan for the 2025-2026 FAFSA. According to the U.S. Department of Education, the plan is on October 1, the FAFSA will be released in the first phase to just certain schools and certain students to allow them to essentially test, submit their FAFSAs, and ensure that the U.S. Department of Education has time to flag and identify any issues that they might have to resolve. The U.S. Department of Education has indicated that by December of 2024, the application will be available for everyone to complete. This phased approach is in hopes of them being able to flag and identify any issues with the submissions and processing of the form. They have promised to take feedback and implement that feedback to the best of their ability or as applicable to ensure an easy experience for those applying in December. What happened with the 24-25 FAFSA, a lot of us either lived or heard about. There was issues with submission, processing, access, ability to complete the form, ability to create FSA IDs. Hope is that a lot of the issues have been worked out from last year. The industry is a bit skeptical, and the public is a bit skeptical because of what's happened with the 2024-2025 FAFSA. It's still happening today. Schools are scrambling to get their FAFSAs processed or submit any corrections, and that's because the U.S. Department of Education announced a few weeks before schools were waiting to be able to submit batch corrections, that batch corrections would not be available for the 2024-2025 FAFSA. Batch corrections may not be part of the process from the student's perspective or the family's perspective, because that's more behind the scenes with the school. Now, you may be aware that a correction needs to be made by your financial aid office. Their internal process relies on the ability to submit those corrections in batches for their students. Some of the larger schools could be submitting hundreds, if not thousands, of corrections based on their needs for the year. So being told a bit last minute from the date that they were promised the ability to do the batch corrections has left them in a bit of a panic. It seems like schools are working to ensure that they make all the necessary corrections and updates that they need for their students, but they are working really hard to meet the deadlines that they need to meet for enrollment this fall for the 2024-2025 FAFSA. The plan is the plan. It'll be a phased approach for the 25-26 FAFSA. Some students, some schools may have felt that the 24-25 FAFSA process has been a really long process, and they might still be dealing with the fallout from FAFSA from the previous year. And to be honest with you, by the time that gets fixed and corrected for some students, not everyone, for some students, it may feel like you're just jumping right into another FAFSA application. This is not the normal schedule, cycle, or time frame that we've seen in the past. This is strictly due to the updates necessary based on the FAFSA Simplification Act and the obstacles the U.S. Department of Education has felt in implementing those. Along with Congress and the U.S. Secretary of Education, Miguel Cardona, a lot of industry groups are keeping their eye out on the upcoming FAFSA release. The U.S. Department of Education is in a place right now where they have to rebuild trust. Probably most importantly, they have to rebuild trust with students and their families. Students and their families rely on the FAFSA. They rely on the FAFSA in order to attend college and receive some funding to help them through. It's one of the resources that is extremely important to them. And with the 24-25 year, it didn't go very well. And the largest impact has been to students and families. At one point, the FAFSA completion gap, when you look at years past, was over 30%. And they have been narrowing that gap to close it to ensure people are completing the FAFSA to pursue their higher education this year and maybe not leave a gap year. If you're stuck in the 24-25 year and you're looking at the FAFSA as an obstacle, I urge you to consider completing the application now. As far as federal deadlines, you have until June 30th, so there's no real reason to put off your education for a whole year if you weren't planning to do so and you just think the FAFSA is an obstacle. You can go ahead and complete that application and try to work with your school and your state to try to get as much financial aid as possible. When it comes to the 2025-2026 FAFSA, just keep be yourself up to date on what's happening. Make sure to check your email, check with your financial aid office, your state, to look at those financial aid deadlines. It's September right now, so it's actually not that far away for the opening of that 2025-2026 FAFSA. If you are able to apply on October 1st, go ahead and get it done. Even if there are hiccups and issues, you will only need to submit the application once. If you have to wait till the December release, that's fine as well. Just get your information and paperwork all together to get yourself ready to go. The FAFSA is still the most important financial aid application out there. Even if there's some issues or hiccups, we will be here to give you the information that you need to know to prepare yourself to help pay for college. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check us out on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. And we will keep you up to date with the latest.